So, my name's Sam Gower. I peaked at about 2100 FIDE rating and I played in the British Championship in 2015 for chess. And I want to share today my one secret that, if you can take this from this video, will improve your results dramatically. I call it minimalist chess. Let's go investigate what it means. Okay, so what is minimalist chess? Again, three very straightforward ideas here. It's simply to play solid, simple moves. Nothing extravagant, just careful, solid moves, thinking carefully about the move that you have played. And the key thing is to let your opponent make mistakes. And at the non-professional level, so anything 2000, actually 2200 and below, your opponent will make mistakes that you can exploit. And by playing those solid, simple moves, you're going to get your opponent to overstretch themselves. And when they do that, you can take those pieces and you can slowly build up your material advantage. Very, very effective against non-professionals, because if they were professional, they'd already be at that level. So there's going to be some weaknesses in their game. Then you can exploit it by holding back, making sure you're solid, and let them overstretch and overextend themselves. Now, the core principles behind these solid, simple moves, because you could be thinking at this point, okay, what does that actually mean? Well, first of all, you need to get your pieces out quickly and efficiently. So use one move or two moves at the very maximum to get your bishop out, to get your knight out. Control the center of the board, because that's where most of the action is going to be. So leave those wing pawns exactly where they are. Castle early for king safety, and sometimes you may want to delay the castling, seeing what your opponent does. They overstretch themselves and then exploit that. I'm going to show that a bit later on. Don't sacrifice material without seeing a clear advantage at the end of it. These speculative sacrifices, they look really good, they look very exciting, but sometimes you just end up material down. Generally, don't sacrifice unless you can see a clear advantage right at the end. And avoid unnecessary complications. By keeping it solid, you're forcing your opponent into complications bad for them, and then you can exploit them afterwards. Now, there's also a psychological aspect that I want to talk about here as well, which is by playing solid, by looking for those maybe drawish, it seems on the surface, tendencies, it leads to frustration and demoralizing your opponent. Your opponents turn to the chessboard and they want to win, they want to dominate you. By exploiting that feeling, by just playing solid, by playing simple, they're very likely to affect their ego, and then they may play something that actually is just bad on the surface. Now, it does require patience and discipline, but that's a great skill to build anyway, whether you're doing maths on my Ginger Mathematician channel or in any other sport, in any other game. So you're actually building up some really good life skills by playing this approach. And essentially you're winning here, not necessarily by having better knowledge of the opponent or better knowledge of openings or mid games or end games, things like this. You're doing it by an outsmarting approach. You're doing this from, okay, let's play this as a game, not necessarily as all the theory that you need to know. So let me now show you exactly how I would implement this strategy. Okay, so here's a game I just played, just to show some of the concepts that I've talked about already. So we're developing our pieces. Notice our opponent breaks that first rule here by moving the knight twice, again not getting the other pieces out. And what happens here, after we exchange, I castle quickly. That was one of the core principles that we talked about. And after this, c3 seems a kind of strange move here, but the idea is after taking, I bring another piece out. So I have 1, 2, and castling compared to no pieces from black. And that gives me the opportunity to just build the pressure. So now another piece comes out here, so I've got the queen here as well. And even though black plays okay here, again, here comes another piece, I maintain an advantage in the position. So as we go through, now notice the knight now has to come to the edge of the board, again, not controlling the center. Notice these pieces, and with the knight here, are controlling the center of the board. So if we keep moving on here, you can see that I just play a very simple plan of moving this pawn all the way to here. And then after some captures, then makes the critical mistake. So at the moment, again, I've probably got a slight advantage. Again, you'll see this on the machine in a moment. Yeah, I've got an advantage of +2, +3. However, it's not completely clear at this point, but as soon as he makes the key mistake, rook e8, now I can take that rook over here for 3. So notice I was very patient in those first 20 moves, quietly building up the position, not having to do anything too crazy, but then forcing that critical mistake, and I end up winning that game, of course, in 52 moves at the end. And if you want to explore in more depth exactly how I think about the chess game, I did a standard video where I did a longer game against a good opponent and really thought about my thought process and how I could improve it. If you want to see that analysis, then check out the video right over here.